قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل، نعم المولى ونعم النصير. ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي جعل الحمد مفتاحا لذكره وسببا للمزيد من فضله ودليلا على آلائه وعظمته. ثم الصلاة والسلام وتحية والإكرام على النبي الأمي المكي المدني الهاشمي الذي سمي في السماوات بأحمد وفي الأرضين بأبي القاسم محمد. وعلى أهل بيته الأطيبين الأطهرين، سيما أولهم أمير المؤمنين وآخرهم بقية الله في الأراضين، روحي وأرواح العالمين لتراب مقدمه الفداء. ورحمة الله على محبيهم ومواليهم وشيعتهم أجمعين، ولعنة الله على أعدائهم وقتلتهم وغاصب حقوقهم ومنكر فضائلهم ملعنين. أما بعد، قال المعصوم عليه السلام: السلام عليك يا أهل بيت النبوة وموضع الرسالة. For the happiness of Hazrat Zahra Marziya, for the enlightenment of the graves of your marhumin, of the graves of the Shahada, Ulama and Siddiqeen, for the safety of the followers of Ahl al-Bayt around the world, and for the safety and the hastening of the reappearance of Hazrat Baqiyatullah al-A'zam Arwahun al-Fida, please recite your loudest salawat. Ahsantum. All praise due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one who's Rahman and one who's Rahim. Once again, your hearts have drawn you to the majlis of Abi Abdullah, and Allah has bestowed you with the tawfiq to come and sit in the commemoration of the martyrdom of the son of Zahra. As I've been saying in the previous nights, you sit in no ordinary place, because with every single moment in our life there is the apparent, and then there is the esoteric or the batini malakuti realm that is side by side to the apparent zahiri realm that we're in. In the zahir, you are sitting here in a blacked out tent, but in the batin of this alam, you are sitting amongst the angels, and you are sitting in a place that its very environment has changed. Only the eyes that see and the hearts that perceive can understand. And that is the beauty of Ali Muhammad. They have come to take us to that height, to be able to see and perceive the realities of this mortal realm. Last night we began our discussion as an intro into Ziyarat Jami'a Kabira. First of all, introducing Ahl al-Bayt. And as we go through the first few lines of this ziyarah, there will be some concepts that you may never have heard before. Because however it is our aqa'id is taught to us, there is an element of those teaching us not understanding the reality, or then those teaching us afraid of revealing that reality. And so, seeing as though the situation was such in the UK especially, and with certain ideologies coming out, some against the greatness of Ahlul Bayt, and some to a point of exaggeration, I thought it pertinent that we do an analysis of what our aqidah, what our ulafa, what our ulama have said in regards to the position of Ahlul Bayt. So yesterday we made a few points, and they were this: that the first point that we need to understand is that the reason for our existence is Ahlul Bayt. لولا حجة لساخت الأرض بأهلها. That if it were not for the hujjah, the heavens and the earth would collapse in on the existence and the inhabitants of the earth. The hujjah is the integral part, as an integral cog in the machinery of this dunya. If you remove the hujjah from this dunya, then this machinery falls apart. He is an integral pillar for all of existence. Whichever one of the Ahlul Bayt it is at that time, any of those 14 infallibles, each of them are the hujjah of Allah. And the whole of existence is integral upon their existence. So we know that our existence is because of them. And in Hadith Kisa you all recite, إنما خلقت سماء مبنية ولا أرضا مدهية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مضية ولا فلك يدور ولا بحر يجري إلا في محبة هؤلاء الخمسة الذين هم تحت الكساء. Don't worry, I'll get louder. Just trying to. Okay. Inshallah. Okay. So, our existence, that's better? I don't want to make it an anti-socially loud one. Alright. So, our existence is integral to the existence, with the existence of Ahlul Bayt. Allah says, I would not have created this whole system إلا في محبة هؤلاء الذين إلا في محبة هؤلاء الذين recite salawat please. إلا في محبة هؤلاء الذين. If it were not for the love of these five that sit under this cloak. So our existence is integral to the existence, or their existence is integral to our existence. And so understanding that, we said that our worship must then go through the wali of Allah to reach Allah. Because we cannot worship without the wilayat of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. So every ibadat must go through them. As Imam as-Sadiq said, Bina ubidallah, walawlana ma ubidallah. That it is only through us do you worship Allah. And had it not been for us, no one would have worshipped Allah. The second point that we said was this: that you must, in order to fulfill this oath, this covenant that you made to Ali Muhammad in Alam-e-Mithaq, where everyone was asked whether or not they accept the wilayat of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, in order to fulfill that covenant, we must submit everything at the door of Ahlul Bayt. Because in reality, that's what that covenant was. وَأَبْذَلُ مَالِي وَنَفْسِي. I'm willing to, I will sacrifice my wealth, myself, my children, everything that Allah has given me at your door, O Imam. So the requirement of wilaya is that you are willing to sacrifice everything for the sake of your imam. Your own desires, your own wants and wishes. Muraqabah is not that you should ask, how much should I sleep? How much should I eat? How much should I pray? Or how much should I do this? Should I do this or should I do that? That isn't muraqabah. Your true muraqabah, your constant attention should be on this fact. How much does my imam want me to sleep? If sleeping this much is making my imam happy, I'll do it. Should I eat this? Will my imam be happy? The mizan for everything is whether or not your imam will be happy or not. And this is the exact example. There was some sort of debate going on Facebook. There's always some sort of debate, and I generally nowadays stay away from all this madness, but every now and then I get weak and get drawn in. And there was some debate on, all of this now. Everybody wants to stick some music in their nohas and manqabats, and I don't know what's going to be next. But anyhow, nonetheless, everyone's thinking, oh no, but it's halal. It's halal music I'm using. I just gave them one simple solution. If you would be willing to play this in the presence of your imam, do it. Without shame. If you're like, Imam, come, I'm going to play this about Imam Ali with a bit of music in the background, and I do it without any shame, ahlan wa sahlan, do it. The mizan. This is why Amir al-Mu'mineen is called Ali is Mizanul A'mal. What does that mean? It says, weigh your actions against the seerah of Amir al-Mu'mineen and see whether or not Ali would be satisfied with that action of yours, and you will also know that your imam would be happy or not. Halal and haram, these are fiqhi debates. I'm talking on a higher level, on a level of akhlaq. If it's not too much trouble, if everyone could just move forward a little bit, sisters as well. There's a lot of people that are struggling for space. If we just all fill up all the gaps, come closer, it would be great. Allah. Another loud salawat. Thank you, sorry for the trouble. So where I need to weigh it up is with my imam in reality, if I want to ascend spiritually, because the imam is the mizan, is the scale with which I need to weigh my actions. That would I be happy with having, I'm giving the imam a lift and I'm playing X qasida in my car which has music? Would I play it, or would I just turn it down a little bit, hope he didn't notice? Yeah. Would I do that? Would I listen to music? And then that's the other thing, right? Is music and then mixing with the holy names of the imams. For the people of Ma'rifah, that cannot sit right. Cannot sit right. There's got to be something in the heart. And I'm not talking from a cultural perspective, I'm talking purely from a moral perspective. And then I'm not even looking at the hadith, because if you went into the hadith, then we'd be like, oh my God, what? Imam Ali alayhi salam says, Man taraba qalbahu ala harfin min alat al-ghina, faka'annama latam aliyan ala wajhih. Says the one whose heart becomes happy at the single note of a musical instrument or the singing voice, it is as if he has slapped me, Ali, in the face. Exactly. Exactly. So we're not even going into that, Bab. I'm just giving you a simple measure. Would you do it in front of your imam? So muraqabah is not, is it right? How much shall I do? It is, would my imam be satisfied with that particular action? Salman became Salman. Why? Salman was one of the ashab sir of Amir al-Mu'mineen, the ashab of the secrets of the Imam. There were certain companions where the Imams would reveal the realities of this world to them, the reality of their own maqam to them. The Imams much of the time wouldn't reveal that maqam that they had to everyone. It was only to the ashab sir. Salman was drowned in the love of Allah, in the love of Amir al-Mu'mineen, and by extension of that, Allah. Such to the extent that the reason Salman became Salman is that he adjusted his own desires to match the desires of Imam Ali. Says, whatever Ali likes, I like. Whatever Ali hates, I hate. That's how Salman became Salman. How a Farsi became Minna Ahlul Bayt. That Salman became part of Ahlul Bayt. One needs to submit. There was a master one day, he was sitting there and his slave brought him food. And he brought him aubergines. Those of you that like aubergines will be happy with this. So his master brought him aubergines. And so the master began eating and they were cooked really nicely. And so the master is saying, wow, what nice aubergines, such amazing aubergines, so well cooked. And the slave is standing there saying, yes, yes, master, amazing aubergines are great for you. They have all these vitamins, they're so good for you. And look how beautiful they've been cooked. Amazing. The next day, the same aubergines are presented to the master for lunch. But they've gone off now. And so when he goes to eat, he says, disgusting. These horrible aubergines. Look how bitter and sour they've become. And the slave says, yes, yes, disgusting aubergines, horrible aubergines. They're a terrible vegetable. The master looks at him and says, yesterday you were singing praises of the aubergine. Today you're singing about how horrible they are. He says, master, you are my master, I am your slave. I have no opinion of my own. Whatever your opinion is, I change my opinion to match that. That's exactly how we should be with Ali Muhammad. There is no opinion of myself. I believe, I don't care what you believe. What does the Imam say? And we have too much of this I believe. Social media and has given the village, every village idiot a voice. And others, other than making a fool of themselves and now writing about it, now they can make videos of themselves making fools of themselves and then upload them to TikTok and feel all great about themselves. Weigh it with Ali Muhammad. So the second point was this: submit yourself to Ahlul Bayt. The third was that we need to view our majalis and all of our actions, especially when it comes to reciting the ziyarat of Ahlul Bayt, as being that renewal of that covenant. Every time we attend a majlis, my intention should be that I am here to renew and reaffirm my covenants that I made with Ahlul Bayt in Alam-e-Mithaq, that we discussed in length yesterday, or at length yesterday. The ziyarah that I recite should be with the purpose that I wish to renew that covenant. I wish to renew that covenant that I made with Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam in Alam-e-Mithaq. And in reality, that's what ziyarah is. Ziyarah from a near or ziyarah from afar. It is that renewal of that covenant. In a hadith, Imam al-Rada salawatullah wa salamuhu alayhi, he says, إن لكل إمام أحدا في عنق أولياء وشيعته. Says every Imam has a covenant around the necks of his Shias. What are those? He says, وَإِنَّ مِن تَمَامِ الْوَفَاءِ بِالْأَحَدِ وَحُسْنِ الْأَدَاءِ زِيَارَةَ قُبُورِهِمْ. And says, whosoever wishes to fulfill that covenant, the way that he must fulfill it is to do the ziyarah of the graves of the Imam. Must do the ziyarah of the graves of the Imam, from near or from afar. From near or from afar. And whoever does their ziyarat while loving them and loving the things that Ahlul Bayt loves, the A'imma shall be their shufa'a, shall be the ones that intercede for them on Yawmul Qiyamah. Just going on ziyarat is not enough. Remember, the requirement is arifan bihaqqihi, understanding the right of the Imam, understanding the position. I can't just stand around here, sin all the time, and then once a year I'm like, yes, I got a place to go on Arba'een again. I'm so lucky, I'm going, mashallah. And then I go there, do ziyarat, come back, and I go back to my sinful life again. I go there, I'm super holy, everything is perfect, my hijab is on point, my clothing, my akhlaq, everything is on point. I come back, it's all gone. So then that shafa'ah will not reach me from that ziyarah, because I'm not fulfilling the requirement of that covenant. Because being given the tawfiq of ziyarah is not in itself a kamal. In itself, it's not a virtue. Because those of you that have been on the Arba'een walk will have seen Christians and Hindus and Sikhs doing the same walk. You've seen non-Shi'as doing that same walk. So what is there to differentiate you from them? There must be in terms of your character. That these others are guests of the Imam. But I'm from them. I'm one of them. And so, in essence, my akhlaq should be totally different to all the other zawar of the Imam. So understanding these points, we go on. And we're going to look at Ziyarah Jami'a Kabira. It is the best ziyarah that we have from Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. In terms of sanad, there is no denying the authenticity of it. The person who recites is Imam al-Hadi. And no one has denied or called into question the chain of narration of Ziyarah Jami'a Kabira. It is the most perfect explanation of the maqam of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam to the capacity of the human being. So whatever you will hear in the next few nights, understand it, that this isn't the whole of Ahlul Bayt. This is all that they have presented, knowing what we can understand and what we can bear. Otherwise they are far greater, as we will explain. Ziyarat Jami'ah, all of the urafa, anyone that achieved any sort of maqam, when you look at their lives, Ziyarat Jami'ah was an integral part. Ziyarat Ashura, Ziyarat Jami'ah was an integral part of their life. Imam Khomeini, when he was in Najaf and when he was during his exile, 15 years, every single day standing, he would recite Ziyarat Jami'a Kabira. Ayatollah Bahjat, from his life, Rahmatullah alayh, it says that for over 70 years, every single morning, he would recite Ziyarat Jami'a Kabira, wherever in the world he was. He would go to the Haram and he would recite Ziyarat Jami'a Kabira of Imam al-Hadi. because it is the most perfect in terms of our understanding. And so many of you that have recited it, especially when you've been to Mashhad, but it's recommended to recite at the grave of every single one of the Imams. Amongst the adab of Ziyarat Jamia is that you first, before you start reciting, you say 100 times Allahu Akbar. Say takbir 100 times. Some scholars, some classic scholars had said this 100 times, the reason for reciting Allahu Akbar 100 times is so that the reader would not fall into ghuluv, would not fall into exaggeration by reading the maqam of Ahlul Bayt. Other scholars disagreed. They said no, this can't be the reason. Because Ali Muhammad themselves know the best way to stop someone falling into ghuluv. We don't need to say takbir. They've written it in such a way that we don't need, they know what will stop us and what will push us into ghuluv or not. So then others came and said no, actually what in reality it is, these 100 takbir are like the 7 takbirat at the start of your salah that is mustahab for you to recite. 7 times it's mustahab for you to say Allahu Akbar before you do your takbiratul ihram. And those 7 are said to move away the curtains of that separates you and the beloved. They say these 100 takbir are exactly the same in Ziyarat Jamia, that it removes the curtains that separate you and the ma'rifah of Ali Muhammad. Recite salawat wa There are more people in the room, and that was quieter from when we started. But then another group of scholars came forward and said, no, look, these 100 takbirat is actually in praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And praising Him, why? Because we want to understand His greatness. And it is only when you have understood the greatness of Allah, when you have understood Tawheed, can you ever seek to understand Ali Muhammad. You can't understand Imamat without understanding Tawheed. You can't. So they said these 100 takbir are to get you closer to Allah so that you understand the greatness of Allah. And through understanding the greatness of Allah, you come to a level of comprehension of the greatness of Ali Muhammad. It's like the dua that we have, the famous dua, Allahumma arifni nafsak, فإنك إن لم تعرفني نفسك لم أعرف رسولك. You've all heard that oh Allah, introduce yourself to me. For if you don't introduce yourself to me, I will not be able to recognize your Prophet. And oh Allah, make me recognize your Prophet. Because if I do not recognize your Prophet, I will not be able to recognize your Hujjah. Oh Allah, introduce your Hujjah to me. And make me recognize your Hujjah. For if you don't make me recognize your Hujjah, I will deviate from my deen. It's all a silsila. It's all a connection. I said to you yesterday, this world has been created in a vertical way. There are levels. We'll talk about it. So after the ziyarah, after these 100 takbir, we begin the ziyarah. Assalamu alayka ya ahl bayt al-nubuwah. The first thing that we say is salam. This word of salam in the ziyarat of the ulama, they have listed some 50 characteristics of this word salam. It is one of the greatest examples of societal morality that Islam brought to the people. It is one of the greatest examples of societal morality. Prior to Islam introducing salam as a greeting, people would say to each other, they would see each other in the street and they'd be like, Abit al-la'an, may you not be cursed. Or they would say to each other, good morning or good afternoon. Sometimes I think, the Holy Prophet has a saying, he says, you will be misguided kama as-sabiqa. My ummah will be misguided. Kama as-sabiqa hadwa an-na'li bin-na'li wal-qiddati bil-qidda. Exactly in the same way that the previous nations were misguided and deviated, you too will also be misguided and deviated. They used to say Abitul La'an, they never used to say salam. Islam came, said no, say salam. Me, 1400 years later, what's happening? Hi. No salam. Sometimes I say to some people, salam, right? Salaam alaikum. Yeah, I heard you. What's happening? So it was one of the greatest, and we'll explain this salam. So Islam came and made this the greeting for everyone. Said use one of the names of God to greet each other. You know, the Holy Quran says, Huwa Allah alladhi la ilaha illa hu al-malik al-quddus al-salam. It's one of the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, and when we're saying salam to someone, what we're saying is, may the salam, i.e. Allah, watch over you. And then after that, may His rahmah and His barakah rain down upon you. May His mercy and His blessings rain down upon you. So in reality, what we're saying is, Salamullah alayk, Rahmatullah alayk, wa barakatullah alayk. May the mercy, may the salam, the peace of God be upon you. May His mercy be upon you. May His blessings be upon you. Salam, and giving salam, we traditionally think of it as a sign of respect. As a sign of respect. But when we look at the narrations, for example, in Al-Kafi, volume 2, Imam al-Sadiq, he comes forward with a narration. He says, no, salam is a sign of your humbleness. It's a sign of tawazu'. It's a sign of your humbleness. That's why, as part of the religion and the adab of salam, they say it is recommended that the one that is standing say salam to the one that is seated. Why? Because the one that is standing might have some element of arrogance within them, that because they are standing, they shouldn't say salam to the one that is sitting. It says that the rider must say salam to the pedestrian, because the rider may think that they are superior. The elder must say salam to the younger one first, because of that sense of superiority, so that arrogance doesn't enter. The Holy Prophet says there are 5 things that I shall not leave until my death. The first is sitting and eating with the poor people. Sitting and eating with the poor, those of a lower class within society. The second is, I shall never leave riding a saddleless animal. Riding an animal without a saddle. I won't leave it. The third is milking my sheep with my own hands. Not getting someone else to do it for me. Now, I'm not telling you all to go to a farm and start. But the point is, sometimes you have to do your own things. Don't rely on other people. The fourth thing the Holy Prophet says, wearing rough clothes. I won't leave this. I'll always do this. Wearing what the poorest of people in society wear. And then the fifth thing that he says that he will not leave is giving salam to the children. So, and then he adds this, so that it may become a sunnah after me. Now we have this idea, the kids have to do salam to me. I walk in and I was like, well, you must do salam to me. I'm not going to do salam to you. Whereas in reality, sunnah of the Prophet is this: the elder must say salam to the younger. It's a sign of tawazu, a sign of humbleness. The arrogant individual will never say salam. Will never say salam until someone says salam to them. It may have happened to all of us at some point in time. I walk in, no one really pays me any heed. Right, forget it, then I'm going to say salam to you either. Because that's the arrogance within me, is bubbling to the top. The arrogant person will never say salam first. Will always wait for someone to say salam to him, and then he will reply. The Holy Prophet has an interesting narration. He says, whosoever enters a gathering and has a hope in his heart that the people will stand for him, that the people will stand for him, should prepare himself for the hellfire. Says, whoever walks into a gathering and thinks these people should be standing for me, says he should prepare himself for the fire of hell. One needs to remove this arrogance. If salam is to truly take root, see the thing, we will talk about this tomorrow. For the names of God, these adhkar, to actually work, one must embody those characteristics within themselves. It's not just by you saying 100 times, I don't know, Ya Badi or Ya Badi or Ya Badi or Ya Badi, or that you're going to unlock some secret. It's about inculcating it within yourself. So one must remove that arrogance from themselves. So the first thing that salam, giving salam, does is it removes the arrogance, nothingness. To reach the point where you are nothing, where you view yourself as nothing. There was a king riding through a city one day, and there was a dervish sitting on the floor. And as the king rode, everyone stood up for the king, hail the king, and all of that. And he rode past, and the dervish paid him no heed. So the king stopped, backtracked a little bit, and he said, "You, why didn't you stand for me?" He says, "Who are you?" He says, "I'm the king." So, and what will you be after you've been the king? He says, "Nothing." He says, "Well, I'm already nothing, so I'm okay." Meaning, the height is being what? Being nothing. To view yourself as nothing. We're not talking about self-esteem and those related matters. I'm talking at a spiritual level. That's why we have so many du'as. Allahumma dhalla nafsi fi nafsi. Oh Allah, humiliate me within myself. Oh Allah, don't raise me in du'a makarim al-akhlaq. Ya Allah, don't raise me in front of the people darajatan, by one level, illa hatattani 'inda nafsi mithlaha, without lowering its equivalent within me. Arrogance will destroy everyone. No matter who they are, sitting on the floor or sitting on the member. Arrogance will annihilate a person, and it is a slippery slope towards hell from that point. So there's no need. So salam, the first thing is it removes that arrogance. When we recite the ziyarah and we're standing at the qabr of the imam and we're saying Assalamu alayki ahl bayt an-nubuwwah, the first is, it is a sign of respect for them, towards them, and a sign of my humbleness. The second is that I'm saying salam from me to you, meaning that you will only receive peace from me, O Imam. I will do nothing that hurts your heart. I will do nothing that breaks your heart. You only stand there and you say, Assalamu alayka ya sahib al-zaman. What you're saying is, Imam, only peace will emanate from me towards you. I will do nothing to break your heart. I will do nothing to break your trust. I pose no threat to you. I have no war with you. I will do nothing to hurt your feelings. That's the first thing. Or the second thing. The third thing, when we're saying as-salam, we're saying that may the peace of God be upon you. That aspect of salam, of Allah, may it radiate down upon you. May you remain constantly under the protection of God. And this is exactly not just even with Ali Muhammad, but even with us when I'm going through these points here. This is what you are doing when you're saying salam to each other. It is one of the greatest du'as that you can give anyone when you meet them. Salamun alaykum. May the salam of God be upon you. The peace of God, that aspect of His salam, may it radiate down upon you. At the same time, when we're standing and we're saying that to someone, may you remain under the protection of God. I'm also understanding that this is all I can do for you, my brother. This is all I can do for you, my Imam. For I am nothing. I am nothing. So all I can do is draw from the divine source of salam and pray that that divine source shines upon you. This is why salam brings tawazu, brings humbleness within a person. I'm not asking you for anything, but rather I'm asking from God to bestow His salam upon you. And then the fourth point that we need to understand about this salam is that in the ziyarah we say, Assalamu alayka ya ahl bayt al-nubuwwah. We don't say Assalamu ala ahl bayt al-nubuwwah. Assalamu alayka means that I am addressing you. You, Imam, whose qabr I am standing at, or from afar I am sending salam. I have yaqeen that you hear me, that you see me, that you reply to me. So whenever I pick up Ziyarah Jami'a Kabira and I say Assalamu alayka ya ahl bayt al-nubuwwah wa mawdi' al-risala wa mukhtalif al-malaika, all of this I'm saying it knowing that the Imam is present in front of me. The Imam hears, the Imam sees, the Imam replies to everything that I am saying. And when the reply comes from the Imam, because as we will discuss tomorrow, there is nothing that can reply to salam but salam. There is no reply for salam but salam. So bearing these points in mind, we will inshallah move towards more of the discussion tomorrow. But the recitation of the ziyarah is the renewal of your covenant. The attendance to these majalis is the renewal of that covenant. These tears that you shed from your eyes, this tabaki, this lowering of your head that you do out of honor of the musibah of Ahlul Bayt, this is all the sign of that humbleness. This is all a sign of that love that one has for Ahlul Bayt. Ziyarah Jami'a Kabira is that ziyarah that has been confirmed by the Imam of our time. When Majlisi, the first Alama Majlisi, he says, I was sitting in the Haram of Amir al-Mu'mineen, And I was sitting there and I was reciting Ziyara Jami'a kal Maddahin, like the Maddahin recited in a loud way. And in a mukashifa, in a vision at that moment, I saw the Imam of our time sitting there. He turned to me and he said, come forward. Says, I took a few steps, but my feet became heavy. I didn't have the strength to go towards the Imam. And then the Imam again says to me, no, come closer. And again I took a couple of steps and I couldn't. Imam kept on calling me closer until I reached him. He said, sit down. So he says, I sat down like we sit in Salah next to the Imam. And Imam said, no, you're a Zahir. You're tired. Sit properly. You're a Zahir of Amir al-Mu'minin. Sit properly, sit relaxed. So he says, I sat down relaxed. And he said to me, Majlisi, what is it that you're reciting? And this is in Alama Majlisi, the first, his book, Rawdat al-Muttaqeen, he puts this narration in there himself. He says that I sat down and he said, what is it that you're reading? He said, I'm reading the ziyarah of your grandfather, Imam al-Hadi, Ziyarah Jami'a Kabira. Says that Imam Zaman looked at him and said, this is the best of the ziyarat. This is the best of the ziyarat. If you get an opportunity, go and look at Ziyarah Jami'a Kabira. Look at how it is Ahlul Bayt are explained. The maqam that they are given. And when one understands the maqam and the greatness of these individuals, then tears automatically fall at the very mention of their name. That you, O Ali Muhammad, with all this greatness, you had to face all of this pain, all of this difficulty. And even until now, you know, when we go and we're on ziyarat and we're saying that Assalamu alayka ya Imam, and I'm saying the Imam is seeing and hearing and is present. This is reality. In one of the mukashifas Ayatollah Bahr al-Ulum had when he went to ziyarat in Karbala, he says that I went towards the dharih of Imam al-Hussein and I saw through the dharih, the batin of what was there, and I saw the body of Abi Abdullah lying there, wounds all over his body, blood flowing from those wounds. I asked him, Yabna Rasulillah, is there anything that I can do to heal these wounds of yours? Is there anything that I can do to bring some ease to you? Imam al-Hussein said, yes. Whenever there is our majlis and people shed tears for us, Ali Muhammad, these wounds of mine begin to heal. Alama Bahr al-Ulum says that I went home and I began holding the majlis of Sayyid al-Shuhada for 10 days. After the 10th day, I returned again to do the ziyarat of Imam al-Hussein. Again, I was granted a mukashifa, a vision, and I saw Imam al-Hussein. Now all of the wounds of his body were healed except for 3. I saw that he had one wound on his back that had not healed, and he had 2 wounds around his heart that had not healed. I said to him, Mawla, I did all of these majalis, all of your wounds have healed, but these 3 wounds that are on your body, why haven't they healed? He addressed me, he said, Sayyid Bahrul Ulum, these 3 wounds shall never heal until Yawmul Qiyamah. No matter how much they cry for me, how much they cry for my madhlumiyah, these 3 wounds shall never heal. I said to him, Mawla, when were these 3 wounds inflicted? He says, Majlisi, he says, Bahrul Ulum, do you see this first wound on my back? This wound was inflicted on me at the time when my brother Abbas fell from his horse and I called out, Alan in Qasar. kasara dhahri. Now my back has been broken. This one wound that you see on my heart, this was inflicted at the time when my mother Zahra was slapped in the streets. This second wound that you see on my heart, this wound came that day when my son Ali Akbar fell from his horse to the sands of Karbala. Aba Abdullah gave everything for this deen. These wounds shall never heal, he says, Bahrul Ulum. These ayam leading up, we remember some of the companions of Al Muhammad. I want to remember one of the companions of Sayyidul Shuhada, who's often not spoken about. And that is John, the freed slave of Abu Dhar. John had served Al Muhammad for decades. He had been in service. And even when Abu Dhar freed him, he still stayed around Ahlul Bayt. Come the day of Ashura, and as one by one the companions are going out to fight, John alayhi salam comes to Imam al-Hussein. Says, Ya ibn Rasulillah, please allow me to go out and fight. Imam al-Hussein looks towards him, says, John, you have done enough for us, Ahlul Bayt. You have served us for decades, John. You can leave. You don't need to stay here. You don't need to go through all of this. John, you can leave. Hazrat John, his eyes fill with tears, and the tears begin dropping from his eyes. Says, Ya ibn Rasulillah, maybe it is because you don't want my blood to mix with the pure blood of Bani Hashim. When John said this, Imam al-Hussein himself started crying. The master looks to his slave and he begins to cry. He says, John, no, we Al Muhammad never look at this. John, if you must go and fight, then go. I have given you permission. Hazrat John mounts upon his horse. He begins to ride out. Every other shaheed that rode out into the battlefield of Karbala recited Rajaz, a war poem, in order to introduce himself. But John was so happy at being given the opportunity to go out and fight. John does not recite anything. He goes out and he fights. As he's fighting, eventually they surround him from all four sides. They begin to attack him. John falls from his horse to the ground. Every other shaheed that fell in Karbala called out, Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. But John alayhi salam, so happy at being given the opportunity to go out and give his life for Imam al-Hussein, he doesn't call out, he stays silent. But even though John stayed silent and didn't call out to Imam al-Hussein, Imam himself comes running to the body of John. Abi Abdullah comes running to the body of John. The army of Yazid said that we were watching. How will this master deal with his slave? How will this master deal with his slave? Those of you that consider yourselves to be the slaves of Ali Muhammad, those of you that consider yourselves to be the servants of Ali Muhammad, look at how your Kareem Imam deals with you. They say we watched Hussein standing over the body of John. Then Hussein sat down on the ground of Karbala. He took the head of John in his lap. He placed his cheek on the cheek of John. John opened his eyes. He called out, Man mithli, wabnu Rasulillah, wada'a khaddahu ala khaddi. Who is there like like me? Who is there like me? When the son of Rasulullah places his cheek on my cheek, saying these words, John's soul leaves his body. John, how lucky you were that Abu Abdullah placed his cheek on your cheek. John, there was only one place in Karbala, one other place in Karbala, where Hussein placed his cheek on the cheek of another, and that was when his beloved Akbar fell to the ground. Hussein ran to the body of his Akbar, falling, stumbling, until he reached him. He wiped away the dirt from his cheeks. He wiped away the blood from his teeth. He placed his cheek on the cheek of Ali. He called out, Ala dunya ba'dik al-afa. Oh Ali, what pleasure is there left in this dunya after you? فلا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya Allah, for the sake of these tears, forgive our sins. Ya Allah, for the sake of these tears, forgive the sins of our parents. Ya Allah, those of our parents that are alive, give them long lives. Those of our parents that have left this world, give them place next to Ali Muhammad in Jannah. Oh Allah, those who are ill, give them shifa'ah. Those who are in debt, clear their debts. Ya Allah, I don't know which hajat, what difficulties, what sorrows, all those that are here in the attendance of the majlis of Imam al-Hussein have brought with them. But Ya Allah, for the sake of Abi Abdullah, for the sake of the tears that Imam al-Hussein shed, fulfill the hajat, remove the sorrows and dispel the difficulties of all those in attendance. Ya Allah, give us tawfiq to go on the ziyarat of Imam al-Hussein this year and every year. Ya Allah, give us tawfiq for Hajj and Umrah. Ya Allah, keep safety azadar of Sayyid al-Shuhada around the world. Ya Allah, hasten the reappearance of the Imam of our time, and allow us to be amongst his true muntabi'in, Maarif-e-Islam.